and welcome to the 5th game of the evening. We're on Frozen Temple, spawning to the top left hand side in purple is Miezekotze, playing for my risk. And to the bottom right hand side in blue we have our Protoss player Piscolita, playing for team She's Got the Lane. So let's see. Do I actually have sounds on? This sounds a bit odd. No, now it sounds enabled. Okay. I actually don't realize if I forgot that all day long, but now it's on, of course. So, but I think I've just muted it for some time early on. So, let's see. Okay, we have the gateway in production and the assimilator. Nothing special over here. Miezekotze probably going for her expand first. That's normally what she does. We've seen her done that many times. Actually, no reason to not expand first for Miezekotze here. I think there's actually almost no game where I have seen her trying to get a pull first. Maybe sometimes to mix it up and throw in one or two more aggressive builds every once in a while, but yeah, most of the times we just see her going for a hatchery. It's the most solid opening you can do, actually. Well, maybe not the most solid, you could just say, but the most standard. So since it leaves you open a little bit to cheeses, and we've already seen her die to cheese using the hatchery first build. But yes, it's most of the time it's being done, so nothing all too special about it. So Piscolita just keeps sending her probe in, wants to get some more information, what her opponent is doing here. Spawning pool finally finishes up. That gives Miezekotze the opportunity to build a queen and a few zerglings that she normally uses to either scout or even put some pressure on your opponent if the opponent is not careful enough. So I think that's actually going to be quite interesting, since we've already seen that Piscolita likes to wall off her natural base a bit oddly, I have to say, by normally just putting the next building up to here, granting Zerglings a very great surface area to nibble away on these buildings. So since yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So since Miezekotze has already sent out like 6 links, I think. Yeah, okay, only 4 for now. The other 2 just checking out for maybe proxy positions over here. But yeah, okay, the mothership core is now out. She will be able to use 1 photon overcharge, but now it's gone. And Miezekotze can just actually wait. Oh no, trying to get in, that was actually a big mistake, I think. She could have just waited with these Zerglings over here, trying to run away from the mothership core for a little more until photon overcharge wears off, and then I think she would have been able to do quite some more damage. But yeah, maybe not. I mean, there's another stalker out here as well with the mothership core and a bit of microing. I think Piscolita should have been able to save everything inside her base. But like I said, it's a bit odd here. This time around she just puts the gateway upwards to here, so that actually takes away from the surface area of that gateway, but it's still, I mean, a lot of space that you can just use. And this gap is actually wide open. I mean, you actually need a full force field. It's almost as wide as a natural ramp opening. Not as wide, but almost. So yeah, I don't really know if it's that easy to actually, even the probe just walks through easily. I mean, it was probably even rallied here using the mineral field, so it would have walked through this unit anyway, but I think this gap is actually wide enough for links to get through. Of course, there are sentries here, so with the usage of force fields, you shouldn't get overwhelmed by links, but still, it's a bit odd. I mean, it's not the typical wall-off I see on this map. Okay, another Zergling just trying to get in. Miezekotze just barely sees these stalkers and maybe these sentries. Actually, to know what Piscolita is going to build, you don't really have to scout there. Well, we've seen her go up against Zerg quite often during the FSL, and she's always loved her heavy sentry stalker-based play in the early game. So we will probably see her move out very soon here, with just a few stalkers, the mothership core that's already on its way, and the first sentries, where she normally tries to make something happen with this army composition. It hasn't really quite worked out against most of her opponents here. Miezekotze still doing good passive scouting with her Zerglings over here, just sending one Zergling across the map, trying to see whether her opponent is moving towards her, and now she knows. Already producing 18 Zerglings, which are going to have speed. She already has a lot of Zerglings out already. So I think these units shouldn't really be able to do that much without reinforcement possibilities like Warp Prism. So it just moves in a little bit. Maybe we'll get a queen, which is already a big, which will already be good for her. Okay, nice force fields over here, so Miezekotze just doesn't get that much surface area in order to take these stalkers out, but it's still more than enough. Piscolita has to move out and just gets a queen for everything she wanted to get. In the meantime, trying to get a Nexus out here, which she will probably not be able to defend, since Miezekotze already sends all the produced units she had to produce in order to defend that push by Piscolita. Now over to her opponent's side of the map and will easily take out that Nexus. No chance for Piscolita to save that. Oh, doesn't even cancel it! Ow! That's 300 minerals down the drain. Actually 400 minerals down the drain, sorry. She would have gotten back 300 if she had cancelled it, but that's 400 minerals down the drain for nothing actually there. Big, big, big win for Miezekotze, not even losing a single, or maybe two lings here, or something like that. So yeah, that was actually very well done. So if you just have a look at the lost units, lost tab, still a little bit more for Miezekotze, losing the initial units when the Stalkers approached. And losing quite some units here with the force fields before Piscolita finally got out. But yeah, again, as a Protoss doing some early pressure, you normally want to get some some drone kills. That's always very important for you. You want to keep the Zerg economy from expanding by either just making them produce units instead of drones, but if they already have a lot of drones, you normally just want to kill them, because then, of course, the opponent will have to reproduce them, using up all the lava for that, not producing any more units. And then if you can just manage to get out with your units, just making your army bigger and bigger and get up your own economy, normally your follow-up push will get stronger and stronger with every one where you manage to kill off drones, and the opponent just can't kill enough of your units in order to keep your army small, and then you can just build up an army that will at some point just be of overwhelming strength against that of your opponent. So again, quite nicely done by Miezekotze here. Would have probably even seen the Warp Prism with that Overlord as well. So yeah, vision just great for Miezekotze. She just sees everything that's headed her way, and will also have an easy time probably to chase away that Warp Prism over there. Yeah, has even some Hydralisks in position. Piscolita just has to turn around immediately. Has not been able to do any damage at all almost. I mean, that Queen even wasn't really the big problem. Units are usually that what you want to trade off anyways as Zerg, so nothing too big over here. Okay, now finally trying to let the Zealots move into here, getting a few hits off onto these Zerglings. But yeah, I think the bigger problem is that push over here that Piscolita actually doesn't know about at all. And yeah, there are a few pylons over here. The Mothership Core is even in place, and the units are not far off as well. So I think Piscolita should be able to hold off quite well. But there's already lurkers in the mix. Oh, actually forgot to put on the production tab. Sorry for that. So yeah, there's already lurkers in the mix, and that totally changes everything, since these units just deal out that much damage. And we don't have any observers over here, but we have a cannon. That's good, that's at least helpful. But if the lurkers, of course, just are placed down here, the cannons won't provide vision for that. So now she's just running in. Okay, just getting in front of the army, will probably just burrow the lurkers over here. Doesn't even care that the units can be seen. They still deal out a lot of damage, dish out a lot of damage. Now the detection is gone. And there are still lurkers over here, so yeah, Piscolita's army will probably not be able to save the most important parts of her army. Miezekotze just has to decide whether she wants to fight the army or just wants to kill more workers, and maybe even the Nexus. Now just move some of these some more lurkers into vision into the range. Now finally an observer is out, and Piscolita can finally engage all of these lurkers, takes all of them out, and defends her third Nexus over here, while Miezekotze has taken the time to expand to her fourth base, just trying to move in more units, but she's realized by now that she won't be able to break her, and has just taken a very problematic engagement for her here, as we can see already. So actually quite an interesting choice. It seems as if Colossi are back again because a lot of people start playing them, so quite interesting here. Wouldn't have guessed that we would see so many Colossi in all of these matchups, be it against Terran, be it against Zerg. That's quite unusual, and most players normally go for Disruptors if they see the first few Lurkers. And I actually like this from Miezekotze as well, just going into the Spire right afterwards. Your opponent will normally assume that you will stay on your expensive Lurker mix for quite some time, and changing it up into some sort of spy attack can just do wonders. Of course, it's also a countermeasure towards the Colossi. She will probably want to have either Mutas, probably not, more likely Corruptors out, in order to take down these Colossi. I mean, Mutas are just more versatile against anything that Protoss has, but they provide less damage output, and they normally don't work well against Stalkers, so normally it's the Corruptors that you want to have. Okay, in the meantime we have a little harassment down over here, but it's been taken out quite easily by Hydralisks and maybe even Lurkers. Okay, another little attempt over here with the rest of the Zealots, but they also get taken out quite easily. So it's just the easy mineral dump for Piscolita, so if she can make something happen with Zealots, it's quite okay. But actually sending them right through the middle, or just trying to make something happen with a Warp Prism harassment over in the main base, didn't really pay off as well as she expected it to do. 19 more Hydras in the way, and actually it seems as if Miezekotze just wants to prepare for the late game if necessary. So once she can just trade off her army, now even moving in with more links, just trying to be fast with it. That's actually just a good move in a lot of different ways. With the help of these Zerglings and spreading up these Zerglings, she can just use them to do some more harassment damage, but of course she just wants to get rid of the useless supply that Zerglings provide at that moment. I mean, whatever Protoss has here, especially with that amount of Colossus, Lings just are dead supply in your army. So why not just get rid of them and make them do something good for you? While you can and have to just get rid of them, and while they might still be usable. Okay, that's a bit unfortunate, like building the hatchery right when the next few Zealots are being warped in at that pylon. Miezekotze realizes, just cancels the hatchery and retreats with a drone over here. Like I said, that was just the command being given way ahead of time before the drone actually arrived here and then saw the units moving in, warping in. So, okay, big attack by Piscolita over the left flank. That's actually well chosen, because there's nothing here that would grant Miezekotze vision of anything. So Miezekotze just finally realizes what's headed her way once it steps on creep. So she finally has some Corruptors out, not the biggest amount of Corruptors. She also has some Lurkers, but doesn't really want to fight out of their range. But she's finally managed to get into Brute Lords, which was probably, again, the decision triggered by the Colossi. Once she saw the Colossi, she just opted to go for Corruptors and then into Brute Lords, because it's normally the best decision you can make. Actually, Colossi are terrible against Brute Lords, and it's actually a good transition, because the Corruptors will help you against the Colossi anyways, and going from Colossi into another tier 3 tech like Brute Lords is just a natural thing. So yeah, that's just actually a good way to transition into when you see the first Colossi being built by your opponent, and you actually have the possibilities to do so. Still, another run by over here, quite nicely managed. 13 probes have already died. Piscolita needed to even close her main ramp off completely with a force field so that the Lings wouldn't get in there. But yeah, 15 workers killed with just some Lings she wanted to get rid of anyways. Always a thing you want to do if you are a Zerg player. Okay, more Stalkers in here with Blink, quite nice. A little bit unfortunate for her, just wanted to chase the retreating units from here, blinking right after them, but that was a bit problematic. And now of course we have a lot of siege units here that are quite problematic to deal with for Piscolita. I mean, we have the Lurkers dealing a lot of damage on the ground, we have the Brute Lords just messing with the unit's AI, and not a real possibility to engage that. Okay, nice blink over here, just taking down the first Brute Lord, maybe even getting another one, but yeah, she just can't get through the damage dealing units over here. Nice blink again, right underneath the Brute Lords, taking out everything, but we still have a lot of firepower in these Hydralisks and in these Lurkers, and actually Piscolita ends up losing all of her army. The only thing that remains are a few Colossi that are now left but being taken out by these Corruptors. Miezekotze cannot really decide whether she wants to donate these units for free but at least getting the Colossus, or if she just wants to retreat for now. Okay, but actually, like I said before, I mean, there's nothing Piscolita can do. GG's out, and 1-0 for Miezekotze. Frost is the second chosen map for this series. To the bottom left-hand side in purple, we have Miezekotze. And to the bottom right-hand side in blue, it's Piscolita. She's down 0-1. Always a tricky situation to be in a best of 5. Oh, going for the pylon on the low ground. Well, pretty typical on this map. Not that unusual. It's a very big map, and most players don't go for early cheeses, since you first have to figure out where your opponent is and what she's doing before really being able to cheese them. So cheese becomes a lot more risky to do and to pull off, because if your opponent just accidentally went for a build that just counters your cheese, you're infinitely behind, and most players just don't want to risk it. So a lot of players just go for like Nexus or Hatchery first builds. I mean, again, for Zerg it's pretty much obligatory to go Hatch first. For Protoss it's not, but on this map you can just get through with it, because the map, like I said before, is just so huge, and the natural entrance is actually not that wide as a lot of other entrances on other maps. So it's easier to wall off very early in the game, and then with the help of the Mothership Core you normally will be able to defend this quite easily. Nevertheless, a lot of Zergs a lot of Zergs have tried to play cheese builds with Baneling busts on this map, and had quite a big amount of success with it, because like I said, early on Protoss just relies very much on the Mothership Core to defend the structures and the pylons, and if you just break through this one little pylon here, that is the only photon overcharge available, with Banelings, and then just stream in with Lings, your opponent normally just doesn't have that many units around in order to keep you from just killing everything. So probably not something that Miezekotze is going to do, otherwise she would have already invested into a Baneling nest, but I think it's sometimes worth to talk about the possibilities on the certain on certain maps. So Overlord, since she's already realized where her opponent is, it doesn't make sense for this Overlord to fly up towards the potential location of that base, but instead she can just reposition the Overlord at some point where it might provide more information, for example this third base location over here. Now Miezekotze again going in with her typical 4 Lings. The Zilla is already in here, but not on hold position. Actually, big mistake, big blunder there by Piscolita. Miezekotze might even be able to get a probe or 2, but I think she would normally like not only to get probes, but also to get some more information. Okay, just waiting for 2 more rallied Zerglings. Okay, actually just really tries to go for as many drones as possible. Has now lost 6 Lings for 2 probes. Don't really know if it was worth it. I mean, she didn't really need to get in, because she had the Overlord inside the main base for quite some time earlier. So yeah, she actually knows what's coming her way pretty decently. Still, I think it would have been quite nice to just move in like 1 Zergling and see the gateways and robotics bay over here building. So, in the meantime, taking a third base over here, not trying to expand towards your opponent, but instead just trying to expand away from your opponent. That's not quite easy to do if you spawn horizontally, because actually both bases are pretty much the same close to your opponent. Now they're pretty much the same distance. Again, I just love Miezekotze's passive scouting. She's always on top of that, just positioning Lings all over the map, just checking for third bases whenever she can, having the watchtowers providing her vision, and also putting Overlords into the right positions. Just putting Lings to the potential third base locations so that she will always get the information what her opponent is doing or not. So gets in with one Ling once more, sees that it's again a Stalker heavy composition, so a heavy composition so far. So she's probably going to expect the same thing, now moving in with the Overseer as well. Even see the Immortal this time around, which is a bit of a change in Piscolita's build. So let's see what she's up to with the Immortal and the Stalkers. She's probably going to lose her Overseer, unfortunately. But yeah, getting all the necessary information. Sees the chrono-boosted robotics facility, not really seeing what's being built. But that should actually kind of tip her off, especially the Immortal. I mean, if a Protoss is going for early Immortals on 2 bases, you normally know what's up. And that some sort of Immortal push or even Immortal all-in is headed your way, depending on whether Piscolita is trying to take a 3rd base pretty soon or not. So, okay, this time around, again, just moving out with like about 7 to 8 units. Normally it's 2 more Stalkers and 1 less Immortal that Piscolita needs or uses to move out and try to attack her opponent. Didn't really do her much good last time around, and I think even with the Immortal it just won't do her that much good. So actually I was just talking about how much I love Miezekotze's positioning of Lings and that she usually just keeps everything inside or observed, but this time around it's only the Lyode standing on the bridge. Okay, never mind, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it seems as if this time around Piscolita just wants to go for a 2-pronged attack. Just killing off the Zergling at the Xel'Naga tower over here, so Miezekotze must think that her opponent wants to get into her 3rd base over here. Probably not expecting, but maybe she's seen it. I think just barely not. Oh, I can't really tell. So it seems as if Piscolita has seen it and won't try to chase it down. So now she just moves in with a Warp Prism, but there's already 1 Hydralisk in place and a few Lings and another Hydralisk as well. So, ooh, Miezekotze, what are you doing? Now she's moving in. Okay, trying to kill off that pesky Warp Prism. Needs to move in with these Zerglings, but at the same time, of course, she needs to micro at her 3rd base as well, because that fight, of course, is the more important one. Wow! Even gets the Mothership Core, and no recall here, and all of these units are going to die. That is just, a deep blow for Piscolita. Oh, that's just, ow. That really hurts. I mean, not much that Piscolita can do from now on. Losing these units was just, whoa. I mean, don't even know what to say. I don't even know the English words that will suffice to describe this situation. That was just awful for her. I mean, it was not awfully done. I mean, you can just try to retreat using the Mothership Core there and the recall, and if your opponent just manages to micro it down, there's actually not much you can do. But just missing all of these units right now in this defensive situation is, yeah, Piscolita is just in such an awful spot right now. All of the units are streaming in. We have a lot of damage output against only Gateway Army. It's almost as if Protoss was fighting against Stimt Bio with only Gateway units, and Miezekotze tears down everything. Takes the 2nd game as well. New Gettysburg is the 3rd map of the series, spawning to the bottom left-hand side. In red, there was the R. It's Piscolita. And to the bottom right-hand side in purple, leading 2-0. It's Miezekotze. Needs only 1 more game to seal the deal. Let's see if Piscolita can do something to keep her from doing that. Thus far, we have to say it's been a pretty one-sided game, I'd say. Piscolita put up a good fight in Game 1. Game 2, unfortunately, didn't work out the way she planned, and then losing almost all of her main army units in that one fight over at the 3rd base because the Mothership Core got shot down before the recall was just barely through. I mean, just 1 more second and all of the units would have been saved, but then the Mothership Core fell and all of these units got crushed. So all of these units that she desperately needed at home, or would have desperately needed at home to defend her natural base. But even then, I mean, even then I don't know if it would have been enough. It would have probably been easier for her to defend and more costly for Miezekotze to attack, but she was still, again, on 3 bases with no real economic damage dealt. So even if Piscolita had managed to hold it more easily, I still think the game from then on, she would have had to play with a very big disadvantage, and don't know if she really would have managed to get back into the game. So, both players having already taken a second base. Piscolita just drops down a pylon over here, thus blocking the pathway over the bridge for now. Might even want to throw down a proxy building later on. Probably not. I think if she had wanted to do that, she would have just dropped the pylon somewhere over here where she could just fit in another building. So, and just takes the Xel'Naga Tower for now. Of course, that's just the thing you want to do after blocking the pathway over the bridge. Units are usually forced to walk over that pathway if you don't take care watching where they are walking. We had this explained again and again, how a building that blocks this pathway just leads to the AI automatically knowing and thus going the long route towards your enemy. And if they go the long route, they have to walk through the vision of this Xel'Naga Tower. So of course it's the best thing to do if you block this path, and you know a lot of units will probably stream across that part of the map. Why not just take the watchtower? But so does Miezekotze. Know that the watchtower is always a good thing to have, and she always tries to take it with a few links, so it's not really surprising that she spots the probe over there, and will probably even later on take this Naga Tower for herself. So in the meantime, Piscolita just tries to seal off the entrance to her natural ramp. Miezekotze actually gets 1 link through, but it gets killed while trying to eat away on that gateway. So, Phoenix build, that's actually quite interesting. I think we haven't seen a Stargate out of Piscolita for quite some time. But there it is, even producing more Phoenixes. So, let's see what she's going to do with it, and if she will be able to do enough harassment damage in order to really hurt Miezekotze before she's going to attack herself. And this time around it seems Miezekotze really wants to throw in some early aggression. And why not? She's up 2-0, she can just risk to play a little more aggressively, and even if the push fails and she just loses this game, she still has 2 more chances to take out Piscolita in a normal macro game, for example, which kind of seemed to work out quite well for her during the first 2 games. So yeah, why not just go for an early attack, try what you see what you can do, maybe even taking out the opponent earlier than usual, and this actually looks pretty good for her. It's only 1 sentry over here. Actually just a little bit unfortunate for Piscolita that she doesn't really go for a usual build right now. By revealing the Phoenixes, I think Miezekotze must have been really glad. Just already realizing, oh cool, you're going Phoenixes. I have a lot of ground units and you don't have Immortals, Sentries and Stalkers. That's just excellent for me. So, just morphing in a few more Ravagers. With those she will be able to just tear down these pylons if necessary. And of course, more important even, the force fields. But yeah, the Mothership Core doesn't even have enough energy anyways. So now the pylons are down, production of these gateways is also unpowered as well. Lings are already inside, killing off all of these probes, and the damage has already been dealt. Even if Piscolita managed somehow mysteriously and magically to hold off this push from now on, the damage would already be game ending. GG, and Miezekotze takes the 3rd game to another 3-0 of the evening.